World Series and playoffs. And so once again, that deal came back to haunt us a second time when we traded such a good pitcher as Tommy John. Tommy went on to win 280 games, I believe. He should be in the Hall of Fame. At least I vote for him every year, or at least until his 15 years are up. He never did get into the Hall of Fame, but he should be there. And so that started. The Indians were always living on a shoestring, always on a shoestring. In 1973, George Steinbrenner thought that he had a deal. By the way, all the time, Gabe Paul wound up getting financial control of the Indians. Yeah. He was essentially the owner, but he had to keep bringing partners in. At one time, the Indians had 55 limited partners in this team. Yes, and they had the investments were as little as $25,000 in this team, and there were 55 of these people. And so George Steinbrenner thought he had, along the way, Vernon Stover then became a majority owner. He came in with the infusion of money, but he didn't know diddly about baseball. And at one time, Steinbrenner in 73 thought he may have had a deal to buy the team, but no, Stover then sold to Nick Milletti. Nick Milletti had no money. And so we continued under that with Nick Milletti and his group. Ted Bonda came in, and these guys didn't have the money to keep it going until finally they sold to Dick Jacobs. By the way, people say that what if Steinbrenner had gotten the Indians? The Indians would have been in the World Series, things would have changed. Well, not necessarily. See, now, when George bought the Yankees for $9 million, he wasn't rolling in dough yet. He started rolling in dough up in New York because of the cable television deals he had up there. Larry Dolan's brother Charles had owned all the ran the cable, the sports channel business right up in New York, and he wound up paying Steinbrenner $50 million a year to carry the Yankees on Madison Square Garden cable. Oh. That was the main cable company in New York City. And so now, on one hand, could Steinbrenner have done the same thing in Cleveland? No, he couldn't have, because there would not have been $50 million a year in cable money here in Cleveland. The Indians from local TV and cable were making about $2.5 million here. The Yankees were making $50 million.
Right.
And so we don't know how it would have turned out under George Steinbrenner here. But George can thank another Cleveland guy, Charles Dolan, originally from Cleveland, for making. He's the one who made the Yankees world champions. So, Nick Milletti, who owned he started the Cavs. Oh, famous comment from Nick Milletti. I like Nick, by the way. Nick is still alive, lives down in Florida, Naples, I believe. Anyway, when he founded the Cavs in 1970, and then a year or two later, he founded he got a hockey team in the World Hockey Association. That was a startup league. It lasted maybe 10 years. And then he got a team in the National Hockey League. And Nick said to me many times, he said, I thought that hockey was going to be the team that would take off here and be big. He said, I thought that basketball would start slowly. Well, and just the opposite. In his fifth season in the league, the Cavs wound up should have been the NBA champions, and they were breaking down the doors of the Coliseum to get tickets out there. But anyway, there have been so many owners, and the sad joke of Ted Stepien when he owned the Cavs. I've decided to do a chapter on Ted in my third book that'll come out next year. And I wasn't going to write about Ted in my first two books. He would have been an easy target. But, he's got 5 daughters, and they're all living here in Cleveland. And I didn't want to just ridicule Ted. He's too easy a mark. But I'm gonna look at him in a little more clinically rather than just hold him up as a subject of ridicule. And I'm going to do a chapter on him in the third book. He was an interesting guy.
Dan Coughlin.
But we can't. You know, guys, I can't touch on all of the owners in this town.
Oh, no.
In fact, all of your listeners, heck, you guys know all these people. You know their foibles. By the way, people refer to now old guys like me. We reflect back on the era of Bill Veeck in the late '40s when the Indians won their last World Championship, 1948. Once again, trades that ultimately backfire. In the Bill Veeck traded a young pitcher in our system here, Allie Reynolds, to New York for second baseman Joe Gordon. He did that in '47. Well, in 1948, Joe Gordon was essential in us winning the pennant and the World Championship in 1948. Second baseman Joe Gordon drove in 100 runs, hit like high 20s or 30 home runs. We would not have won the '48 World Series without Joe Gordon. But Allie Reynolds went on to pitch the Yankees to 5 straight World Championships.
Right.
Sit tight, guys. Let's jump in right here. Get this break out of the way. We're coming right back with more of Jonathan Knight, more of myself, getting the chance to sit down and bring you Dan Coughlin live on the airwaves of the Sports Fix. We'll be right back.
We here at the Sports Fix are very in-depth when we interview the sports stars.
Oh, I saw the whole thing, dude. First you were all like, whoa, and then we were like, whoa, and then you were like, whoa. What are you talking about? You got serious thrill issues, dude. Oh, awesome.
Maybe not, but you should still listen.
Guys, want to take just a second as we head into this break and remind you about the official business printing source of the Sports Fix, our friends at Signs and Ship. Signs and Ship, I'm telling you, Chris and Pam, they've taken care of me since day one, and they can do the same for you. Whether you're a small business that's already been established and you're looking to grow to that next level and expand your business, or perhaps you've got an idea that you just know is going to be a great business and you need to figure out how to brand it and how to promote it and put it out there, Signs and Ship is the place for you. If you need a logo, they can create one for you. They have a fantastic graphic designer. Business cards, signs, banners, yard signs, mobile advertising, anything you can think of that you need to promote your business, they've got it at Signs and Ship. The best thing about them, too, is each of their locations, whether it's the home base here in Elyria, Ohio that I work with, or their spots in Virginia, Florida, and Pennsylvania, it's all local sourced. Very important to me because we all understand that small business is the lifeblood of the community. So check them out, signsandship.com, or call Chris and Pam today, 440-323-6060, the home office in Elyria, Ohio. Signs and Ship, quality printing at affordable prices.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Fantasy Jocks. Visit fantasyjocks.com, your fantasy sports superstore. Championship belts, rings, trophies, and more. Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. Real time spent making real decisions, creating real victory.
I'm the greatest man in the world!
And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize. I mean, a really real prize. Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs.
The trophy's 12 feet high, and it is glorious!
Football, baseball, hoops, you name it, they have it. Plus, they have awesome draft kits and party supplies to make all your preseason activities the envy of everyone. If your league needs a ring, belt, or trophy, or you want to upgrade what you already have, there's literally only one place to go. If you're going to be a fantasy jock, do it right.
It's mine, the most magnificent belt ever created, and it's mine.
With America's fantasy sports superstore, fantasyjocks.com. The Sports Fix is now available every day on the world's largest internet radio service, iHeartRadio. Download the free iHeartRadio app, subscribe to the show, and get your fix.
At the corner of Carnegie and Ontario, it's basketball time at the Q.
Cleveland rocks!
Have you gotten your copy of Cleveland's Finest yet? Highlighting the best moments, players, and media members in Cleveland sports history?
He won it! Milo hit a three-pointer on the side.
In-depth personal interviews with some of the top names in Cleveland sports fill the pages of this incredible book.
Joe Day,
Fred McLeod,
Hector Marinero.
Discussing the most intimate and sometimes controversial details of the largest moments in our town's sports history.
The Indians have won the divisional title.
A perfect game for Len Barker.
What a win for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Their first time in a playoff.
It's the first book written from the players' point of view, with the media that covered it and the fans that watched. Finally, the true stories are told, from a miracle in Richfield to the NBA Finals.
The Detroit Pistons have been booby-trapped.
From a perfect game to a World Series one pitch from victory. From a Wildcat High School dynasty to the golden days of the Browns, Barons, and Crunch, this book will change the way the entire sports nation looks at Cleveland.
Cleveland, you will have an October to remember.
Cleveland's Finest by Vince McKee is this year's must-have book for every Cleveland sports fan. Available now at Amazon.com. Get your copy today.
Merry Christmas, happy holidays, seasons, greetings, and blessings to each and every one of you from all of us here on the Sports Fix. Remember the true spirit of the season. We wish each and every one of you nothing but the best holiday. Enjoy your day and enjoy this very special best of the Sports Fix.
Hey, Cleveland, this is Ed Doherty, the voice of St. Ignatius Wildcats football. All of us at the ACP Radio Productions want to wish you and your family a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix, streaming live here on thesportsfix.net or around the world on digital delay on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, SoundCloud, so many different formats, so many different platforms. Thank you, each and every one of you, for allowing me the opportunity to be with you every weekday at noon right here on thesportsfix.net. This day today, a special show, and I hope you're enjoying it. I'm enjoying sitting here and listening back and remembering this night. Just got a copy of this out of the archives, and it's our first opportunity to bring it to a whole new audience. Dan Coughlin. For decades, he's been a fixture in Cleveland sports talk, both on radio and newspaper, and author, and so much more. He sat down with the sports writer extraordinaire, Jonathan Knight, and myself. What a great interview. Getting ready to jump back into it now. We had just finished playing Dan some audio of a woman who talked about being such a Browns fan back in the 80s, in the glory days. She said that her entire wedding, both the bride and the groom party, it was all Browns colors. It was an entire Cleveland Browns wedding. We jumped right back into it with that. Here's Dan Coughlin taking it from there on the Sports Fix.
I was always an NFL guy. I saw my first Browns game in early 50s. And, in fact, I've been an NFL guy since 1950. And I was ready to wash my hands of the NFL and the Browns when they moved to Baltimore. And then when Al Lerner got the team, I washed my hands. But now I'm going to get back on board because I like this Jimmy Haslam a lot. There's nothing wrong with an absentee owner, for Pete's sake. It's been fine with Dan Gilbert and the Cavs. It's working out really good. And I have the same hope for Haslam. But one thing, let's not adopt the colors of Tennessee. The University of Tennessee will be fine. You know, that will be cute. That's his team, Tennessee. It won't be cute if he starts dressing the Browns up like the Tennessee Volunteers.
Yeah, that would be a disaster.
And this sounds silly, by the way, but I still like the all-white uniforms that go back to the 50s when the Browns were always winning. I like the all-white uniforms and the simple orange helmet. It's the one thing that sets the Browns apart from everybody else in the NFL, with the exception that no other team, I think, except for maybe the Lions, has been in the league longer without going to the Super Bowl. So, but anyway. I would not. I know he's not going to dress him up like the Tennessee Volunteers. He's too smart for that.
I saw Livingston joked in the article today that he hopes they don't have the checkerboard end zone.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's funny. It didn't occur to me at first that, holy cow, that's right. The Browns have orange and brown, and the Tennessee is orange and white, I guess. Yeah.
But, so Gilbert, you mentioned him as well. Both of it seems like the new generation, maybe these new owners are, because Gilbert's shown no lack of willing to spend, not just for the team, but in the community as well, reinvesting in the community. It's been a while since they've had ownership like that here in Cleveland.
That's right. Gilbert opened up a branch office of his Quicken Loans, and he's got, I think, over 300 employees working in Quicken Loans here. So I'll tell you, this guy always puts his money where his mouth is. Yes.
And, of course, the casino. I mean, that